This is the Hunt Quietly podcast. I'm Matt Ranella.
Okay.
The bit where you said, so Jeff, you lend your llamas out a lot, you were saying.
Huh?
And you said that when you tell people if one of them gets away and you got to come home, you can't find it, you got to come home, just leave another one there tied to a tree.
That's right. Yeah, I think they're buddies, man. They'll hang out with each other.
One time to your point, one time I had 2 llamas. Shifty, you picked up a terrible time to go for a drink. Can't you tell we're podcasting here? I'm unplugging the fridge, folks. Bear with me.
What the world?
Oh, because it'll just make noise.
Oh, okay.
You'll hear it. I was doing a trial run with a llama I was thinking about buying. So I pick it up in Butte, and I brought another one with me so that it would have another llama with it. So we go, and then I pick it up and like halfway between where I live in Miles City and where my wife lives over by Missoula, and then I go to her ranch for a week, and I'm gonna hang out with this llama there when I'm there and see if it has any potential. I was a little nervous about it because she was 4 years old, and I've had not great luck when they get that old. If they haven't had any experience getting them to come around to the packing life, you know. Have you had that? Have you tried to train any older ones?
Every one we've got's been 6 months old.
Oh,
yeah.
That's perfect.
Right.
So one day this llama gets away from me and takes off, and the snow was knee deep, and I'm ended up 2 miles from my wife's house. I was playing with them right outside her house, and I can't even get within 100 yards of it. And the llama doesn't know me, doesn't know the other llama, and I got exhausted trying to catch it, and it's starting to get dark, so I go back to my wife's, and I filled up my backpack. I put a tent in my backpack, a sleeping bag, and then I strapped a bunch of hay to the outside of it, grabbed the other llama, and went back out to where I'd last seen this thing. And no sign of it. I can see a quarter to a half mile in every direction. There's no sign.
Did your wife have on a huge ranch or something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I just set up, just as an act of faith, I set up my tent. Because at least I was on its tracks, you know, and my experience is when they get back off, they'll tend to run their tracks back and forth, you know. And I put out that hay and made sure the other one, Majel, had access to the hay, and I had her picking it out, and I went to sleep, and set my alarm hourly to check my bait pile, you know.
Sounds peaceful, mate.
At about midnight, I wake up and the moon had come out, and I look out the tent flap, and there that llama is. I just ever so slowly crept over there, and she let me get the halter on, or the lead rope on attached to her halter, and it was the most relief I think I've ever felt. You know? So yeah, they definitely tend to, like, even if it's a llama that's a stranger, they'd rather be with a llama that's a stranger than be with nothing.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like Hunter's
We should shut that door.
Yeah.
That sounds indicative of Hunters for Access people. They don't even have to know each other, and they want to hang around each other.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true. Yeah. It's just the way it is.
Oh, it's true. Anybody that helps out with Hunters for Access is probably going to be have a pretty compatible mindset.
Yeah, the mindset's the same, and so it's real easy to look out for your fellow hunter and hang out without even knowing anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did 4 work projects in one day, and afterwards we had a barbecue here at my house. This was 3 weeks ago.
3 weekends ago.
And yeah, those people, hardly any of those people knew each other, but we had a blast.
Yeah.
So yeah, the idea is we're gonna just try to give folks an update about this group, this nonprofit that we're trying to grow, and to facilitate public hunting on private lands by facilitating state-run programs that provide that service. So landowners that are enrolled in state-run programs like the WEHA program in Kansas where Jeff lives, or our block management program. We also have a chapter in Minnesota where they have the walk-in access program. And what we do is we do work projects on participating properties to say thanks to landowners that are enrolled in the programs, and we give appreciation gifts to people that are enrolled in the programs, and then Jeff has recently just hosted your second landowner appreciation dinner.
That's right. Yeah, and that's my dog barking, by the way. So sorry about that.
It's some ambient background noise.
Yeah.
It's hunting related. So. Jeff is out visiting in Montana, and he's bird hunting out here, and he was kind enough to swing by for a night and record this Hunters for Access update episode. So yeah, Jeff, would you tell us a little bit about the dinners and anything else you want to tell us about?
Yeah, for sure. So unlike Montana, our Wildlife and Parks Department, because of their spending policies, they can't host like appreciation dinners. And so we've taken it upon ourselves to see how it might work with Hunters for Access hosting those. So we've done 2. We did one in February. We did one about a month ago. I think August 16th was our last one. And we had about 50 or so enrollees that came to the dinner. And we gave away about $2,200 or $2,500 worth of free stuff. It's been
some of that was a bit of it was bought with the national raffle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah,
this is how your money's being used, folks. So
yeah, and
but you also did a lot of local fundraising.
We did, and I'm like really surprised because like our local we host these in smaller towns, and I'm really surprised because when we go to businesses in those small towns, they really want to help, and mainly they want to help because they want the walk-in hunting access program to also be successful because it helps their business when a bunch of hunters show up in their community.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, I mean, there's a lot of these towns that throughout the year, the only people they see outside of town that they don't know every day are hunters because they're coming through and they're buying gas and they're buying candy bars and all that kind of crud. And so, it's been super easy to get money and items donated. And we're just telling them that we're just going to give this to your local farmers and ranchers. We're going to tell them about your business, and that's what we do. And it's been super successful. So,
what are the businesses?
We've had banks donate cash. We've had hardware stores donate gift cards. We've had a pharmacy donate. They have a
Barbiturates?
No, not that exciting. But no, they have like a coffee shop in there, and they've donated like gift cards to their coffee shop. We've had grease guns from implement dealers that have been donated. I mean, just about. We had Western stores like to sell Western clothing, donate items or gift cards. We had a gentleman that owns a Wagyu beef ranch. He donated $200 of Wagyu beef. So I mean, it's just like
awesome.
It's just like anything you can imagine. If there's one thing in Kansas that's like an obstacle sometimes to access to hunting, it's Farm Bureau. We've had Farm Bureau donate us stuff.
How are they deleterious to access?
Well, they want landowners to maximize, or I shouldn't say they want, they encourage
them to maximize.
to maximize their profit, which might mean leasing as opposed to the WEHA program.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But we've had them donate stuff to us. So,
Okay.
and I think we're like the only group that is in the hunting realm that Farm Bureau is nice to. It seems like.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a huge stride in Kansas.
That's interesting. That's good because I know some people there. That's good.
Yeah, I don't know about Montana, but in Kansas, like Farm Bureau, legislatively, everything, they are a powerhouse.
Oh, very much
yeah.
so. Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Aren't
huge
they-
lobbyists. Huge.
I'm pretty sure that in some eastern states, they are one of the reasons that there's not Sunday hunting.
Really?
Yeah, I remember hearing something about this. They're opposed to Sunday hunting.
Isn't that in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But something else we did before we even got started with anything is we worked with the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks and Wes Sowards, who I think you've talked to on the podcast. He manages the WEHA program, so he has access to all the contact information for all the property owners in the program. And so we sent out a survey. Basically, and the goal of the survey was to figure out where Kansas Hunters for Access fits best to perpetuate the program. And we found out some
You guys
interesting.
are strategic.
Well, we tried to be.
We're just fly-by-nighters here.
We tried to be, and Wes came up with the money to do it. There's a voluntary. Gosh, I wish I knew the name of the program. But when you buy your hunting license, you can check a box and donate $2 or
Sure.
$5 or whatever, and that goes towards access. And they can use the money for anything access related. So we used that money to do the survey.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, to get started. So we didn't really have to have any money. Wes was able to capitalize on that.
We should bring this up next time we want something from FW.
Yeah, no, I'm listening
Like,
intently.
yeah, like,
because
it's like-
these are great ideas.
It's like they're helping them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Your fish and game management is agencies
Yeah, no,
helping.
that's great stuff.
Ours, like the local guys here, they help us, but people at the state level are getting in their way half the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
They didn't want us to even be able to have a presence for a while. They wanted us to even have a presence at their appreciation dinners.
Oh really?
They backed. Well, the reason.
Wow. You tell them the story. It's great.
The reason, I don't know exactly what, but there's a lot of block management cooperators in the western part of the state that dislike backcountry hunters and anglers.
The western part of the state?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it might have to do with some stance that they took, that BHA took on shoulder seasons a while back.
Okay.
So anyway, that's where this...
Remind me to come back to this. I got a story.
Okay.
Yeah, but go ahead.
So I think at first I was all booty hurt because I was like, what, did I say something wrong at one of the dinners? Why are we allowed to be there anymore? But they quickly backtracked on that and we got to go. And we have a chapter in central Montana and they got to go.
Yep. And I actually went up to the one in central Montana. It was at their banquet and spoke briefly. As good as I could, not much of a public speaker, but
You seem like a perfect public speaker.
yeah, I fall apart.
They let you speak at it.
Yeah. Both of us did.
They've been all over the map because ours were earlier in the year.
Okay.
And I usually like to get up and energize the crowd.
And he does a great job of that.
And they wouldn't let me, so maybe, I don't know.
And I'm going to go back up this year and try to do a better job. But I think I got my point across anyway. So.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so a lot of cooperation from local businesses.
Oh yeah, same
And
way here.
John too, John wants to rattle off.
So I do a fundraiser every year. I think we do it in February. And I go around to some local merchants and always very giving. And anybody that is listening to this that's from the Miles City, Montana area, just a list of people are Stedman's Ace Hardware, Davis Repair, Eastern Montana Ag, Cowtown Ag, Napa, Equipment Management Solutions, MC Electric, Blowdorn Lumber, Red Rock Sporting Goods, Odium Brewery, which is of course the home of Hunters for Access anyways, a local brewery, and Murdoch's. I think we raised around $8,500. That's usually what I raise. We have a pint night. Of course, all our money goes to block management cooperators. We did 8 projects this summer. We did.
And at 9, if we include, we had one.
We've got one more left to do. But
we have one left to do, but they also did one over by Lewistown.
Right. But we did a lot of fencing. We built some corrals. We built some windbreaks. We mowed some grass for fire mitigation. We just did all kinds of projects, and I kind of wanted to touch and maybe hear from the Kansas guys too. But it's funny as we do these projects and we get to know these landowners. They're usually working with us through the day, and then they start to open up, and they start to tell you stories, and so it really
and say things like, "What the hell are you guys doing?"
Well,
this for?
first off, they usually try to pay us. I mean, they try to pay, and I'm like, no, that's not what we're here for. This is not how it works. And you start to hear the stories, and it speaks loudly for the caliber of these people. One of the guys told me a story this year where I had first asked him about, do you have any trouble with hunters, out-of-state hunters? Because I was a person that always believed that the out-of-state hunter was causing problems. And this is where...
That's me, by the way.
I understand. Yeah, right. No, yeah, you're right. And so I've always kind of had
I just spent $75 on dog food here in Miles City.
There you go.
but I always kind of had a hard
Energizing the local economy.
Yeah,
That's right. With dog food.
and the more I do this, the more I find that in fact it's not the non-resident, it's the resident hunter.
Oh, I've heard that too.
And it's the same thing in
too.
Kansas.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the same. It's a comfort thing, I think.
But this gentleman told a story this year where a couple of years ago he had a gentleman come later towards the end of the season. The guy was from Pennsylvania. He signed up on the block management, went down there hunting. It was later in the year. He he was having a hard time finding a deer to shoot. And this landowner made some phone calls to some neighbors that normally didn't allow hunting. One of the neighbors said, well, if you're going to come with him, he can come on over and we'll see if we can find you a deer. So this is a private landowner that's allowing public hunting. Now I called and made a phone call, and this hunter from Pennsylvania was able to go over and harvest a nice deer on private land. And so I hear these stories more and more about these landowners that are helping out these non-resident people that come. And so to me, that speaks loudly for the caliber of people, the caliber of the rancher, landowner that has enrolled in this stuff. I mean, it's just a great deal. And you hear these stories. I hear stories about people that come out that may have owned a tire store. They bring tires that they couldn't sell. They're hardware people that bring, hardware, different things that didn't sell at the store, giving them to the ranchers. There's all kinds of these things you hear, and I think it's important for everybody to realize that those kinds of things, as small as they may seem, are the kinds of things that keep public accessible hunting alive. And it should be noted, like I've said in podcasts before, if you don't become involved in this stuff and you like hunting, you're going to get what you have coming to you, which is not a place to go hunting anymore. Hunting will go away if it isn't for a group of people that look out for each other, that do things for each other and don't expect anything back. This is how it should work. And I think it's important for people to realize that they need to get involved. One of the other things we did was we had some kids come this year to some work projects. I had a dad bring his 2 kids with. they ratted around, but they brought fence posts, they had clips. But what I saw out of it more importantly to me was they didn't have a cell phone in their hand. They were learning that hunting isn't just about killing something. It's about there's lots of things that go into hunting that aren't just killing.
Yeah.
And so everybody will say, well, not everybody, but I've heard some people say, yeah, well, we'd like to get involved, but yeah, we just don't know what to do with the kids. They're not interested. No. Kids don't get to make choices. Parents make choices for them. And so you bring your kids with and make them part of the program. And the more your kids are with you, the more they learn to respect landowners, to respect programs, walk-in programs, block management programs. The programs you have in Kansas, there's some in Wisconsin, Minnesota. I suspect there's a lot of states that have programs. Maybe some are largely used and some are probably not even known. Mm-hmm. Get the kids involved. Get them away from that cell phone and that social media. I mean, that they don't need it. They need to know respect for hunting, why we hunt, and public landowners. Private landowners. But public too. I mean, everybody's a public landowner. And there needs to be respect for that too.
Yeah.
And it's like, so let's get it together, people. Get involved.
Matt, do you mean to shut that dog up?
Nah, he's good.
Okay, all right.
But seriously, seriously, it's like, get involved. If you want to hunt and you believe in it, get involved.
Amen. As somebody that's spent the first 45 years of my life just hunting and doing nothing.
Yeah, I pretty much did too.
But now, man, I'm paying my dues now.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yep. So back to your story about these farmers and ranchers, and you started with that. And this is kind of what I wanted to get back to. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I was up here hunting block management. And over by Sydney, there was a type 2 that I was interested in hunting. And so I made a phone call. And for people who don't know, like type 1 is you fill out the permission slip yourself. Type 2 is you got to call and actually go get the permission slip from the farmer or the rancher.
Right. Or from the block management office.
Right. And this one was one where you got to go out and talk to the farmer or rancher and get the permission slip. So I called him and it was really dry. And he said, well, it's really dry. I'm kind of nervous about people being on there. And he said, come out. Are you by yourself? And I said, yeah, I'm by myself. And he said, come out to my house and tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. and I'll get you a permission slip and you can go on out and do what you want to do. And I'm like, great. So I went out and filled out the permission slip, he gave me one, filled it out. We talked for a little bit and he said, yeah, I don't know. A lot of hunters I just have a lot of trouble with. They just don't respect. They leave gates open. He just went on and on and on complaining. And I was like, that's not me. And I'll do right. And thanks for the permission. And I'm going to go hunt. And I drove out his driveway. I went about 3 miles and hunted some land.
And started a fire.
Yeah. Shot a couple of sharptail and sent him a picture of the sharptail. And he was like ecstatic. Like, I haven't seen sharptail in a couple of years up in that pasture. And so I got home a few weeks later, sent him a Christmas card.
Oh.
And
nice work.
Yeah, sent him a Christmas card, said, hey, or not a few weeks later, but when Christmas came, I sent him a Christmas card. He immediately got back to me, called me actually, because I had his cell phone number because I texted him a picture. And he said, hey, Nick, if you're coming up next year, can you come by the house and take my son with you? He's on the trap team, but he doesn't hunt. He'd like to go hunting, and I don't hunt, so I'd like him, if you can take him with you, it'd be great. So the next year I came up, took his son with me. Well, come to find out, actually, Montana BHA kind of knew about this, but he's the president of the Montana Stock Growers Association.
Oh, wow.
Stein Bowser.
Oh,
I should know that.
That's interesting. I should know that.
So I called Montana BHA and said, hey, I know you guys are kind of rubbed. There's some rubs here between you two, and I just happened to run into this guy. He's a nice guy. He's got complaints, but maybe there'd be an opportunity here to kind of build a bridge a little bit. Like, well, I don't know. We don't know if we want to do that or not. So, I mean, that's kind of how it was left.
Yeah.
But that guy was like super appreciative of just staying up with him. And now every year I call him or he calls me and says, hey, it's pretty dry. I wouldn't come by, or I haven't seen any birds.
Uh-huh.
And I hunted there on Monday. and found birds, and yeah, just super nice guys. So, like you said, like you build those kind of relationships. These guys are really appreciative of it. And,
That's what humors me about this a lot. I have people come to me and say, we just can't find a place to hunt. It's always, you always hear this, and one of the things that I have learned every time we do one of these projects, and this is our second or third year, third year of doing projects, every time and every group that goes out, one of the things is, hey, we're going to remember you guys. If you ever need a place to hunt, you let us know. You can come here and hunt anytime you want. And so it's
Jim Stein.
Steinbeiser.
Okay, this is the guy that's on the head of the stock growers.
Yeah, stock growers. So anyway, but it's really funny. It's like, people, get involved. You will find and have a place to hunt.
Yeah.
And there's the proof is in the pudding. Every time we do one of these, the story you just told, you've made a relationship with this man. He's telling you it's either too dry or he's not seeing birds. Come on up. Maybe don't come. I know Matt has been told, hey, you guys come and hunt. I mean, you do nothing but get hunting spots.
Right.
And
now, just for the sake of clarity, what we do with this organization is we're not getting any fringe benefits out of it. I've never even hunted a place that we
neither have I. Neither have I.
We're doing this so that everybody
has a place to go hunt, and hopefully keep the heritage of hunting alive. But like I say, the respect thing is huge.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear your take on what you guys have on your dinners that you do, Jeff. But like, I think I can speak for John in saying that the amount of gratitude that these people have for what we're doing when we show up at these dinners and swag them, and when we do these projects is pretty encouraging.
Oh boy, yeah.
I don't know how to describe it other than it's the same.
Okay.
Because people are very happy that what we're doing.
Yeah, two of the guys actually that went with me on this last project I did commented. The landowner actually came down and saw us doing the work, checked to see if we were in the right pasture even, and thanked everybody, and was very, very thankful of it. And we drove home that night, and they said, we were there a couple hours, and he says, after that landowner came and thanked us, we really quite enjoyed it. It's pretty fulfilling, really. It's not as if it's a burden.
No, I kind of enjoy our work.
Oh, I do too. Yeah. You get to know people, and you get to know the people that go with you, and as far as Hunters for Access goes, the Kansas guys, the Minnesota guys, hopefully more people in Montana. Sam and the other gentleman, Chad, people that I didn't know before, you get to know, and it opens a lot of doors for people. People need to get involved. It's a great deal.
Yeah. So, Jeff, I think we may have cut you off when you were describing the survey. Like, what did you learn from the survey?
Well, first of all, let me go address something here pretty quick. The Wes Sowards, who manages our program in Kansas, was very concerned about Hunters for Access, and he's always been concerned about groups having direct access to these enrollees because they might lease these properties out from underneath the program.
Okay.
And so, to your point, like, there's no special privileges that any of our, board or anybody else involved gets with these enrollees. And so it's just, and Wes is very concerned about that. Like, he protects it himself. Like, I don't want direct access to these enrollees if I can avoid it. But to your question about the survey, so we did ask the survey or ask the enrollees if they were interested in help on their farms and ranches. So back to Kansas BHA, which I'm involved in Kansas BHA. We have a really good Kansas BHA chapter with different issues than what you guys have here in Montana, but our BHA chapter is stellar. And they do some work on some of the WEHA properties. So they've been able to do some of that work. and cedar tree removal, that kind of stuff. But they can't really do anything outside of habitat. And so we solicited in the survey.
Oh, you're saying they couldn't do a work project that was something the rancher needed done, but that wasn't a habitat project.
Fence, paint a barn, whatever.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, it had to be habitat.
They could take down a fence, probably.
They could, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was all ran through KDWP's habitat management. So they have Pheasants Forever employees implanted in Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks.
Uh-huh.
And those employees work directly with the landowners on habitat improvements. And that's who BHA has to work through, because of personnel and logistics.
Okay.
There's no other reason other than that, really.
Okay.
And then trying to limit direct access to the enrollees as well. So the best avenue for BHA was through the
Wow,
habitat.
he is really protective of that.
He is, and rightfully
And
so.
he just thinks that couldn't they just somebody that's involved in just go up to the place and go, hey, I want to lease it?
They could. But I mean,
So, like,
why
what's
make
he-
it easy for them,
Okay.
Yeah. So,
It just seems like extra sleazy. Like, hey, I'm here to do a work project, but
you'd be surprised. Maybe you wouldn't. I don't
maybe
know.
I'll just lease the place
Yeah.
instead.
So anyway, the point I was getting back to was we actually in our survey asked if some of these farmers and ranchers needed help with anything, and the response wasn't very good. Like
Okay.
most of them were like, we're fine, don't need help. But mostly what we heard, and the question wasn't directly related to do you need help? It was, is there anything Kansas Hunters for Access can do to help you on your farm or
Sure.
ranch? But there were a lot of other questions. I think there were 6 questions. And if you summarize and
How
look
many
at
responses did you get?
500.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did
that's-
really good.
Yeah.
And what we think, anyway, when you look at the data and you look at the graphs and charts is, and I'm not a statistician, I know just enough about statics to be dangerous, but if you look at all the information, kind of the qualitative analysis is, there's a trust issue. Like,
Yes.
these farmers and ranchers don't want help because they don't trust.
Thank you.
Oh,
we
yeah.
have that here as well.
Yeah.
We're starting to overcome that. But go ahead.
I think we're starting to overcome it too through these appreciation dinners. But so we turned our focus more on the appreciation dinners and building trust.
Okay.
And so that's what we're working on, because like I said, our state Department of Wildlife and Parks can't do those dinners, so we're doing them.
Right.
We're building trust along the way. But the number one thing we heard out of that survey was hunter behavior. So you got hunter behavior, then you can read between the lines and see if there's trust issue. It's all kind of tied together.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to
So
overcome.
that trust issue, it's interesting that you bring that up, because there's a high level of that here. So a little history on Montana. Branding is a very popular time of the year for the ranch community. Ranches trade help back and forth on branding. A lot of high school kids become quite involved with branding at branding time. A lot of landowners pay them a day wage.
Can I just ask a question though?
Sure.
Like branding, like
Oh yeah.
They still do
hot,
that?
hot iron on the cattle. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there's other types.
Well, yeah, but 99% of what we
That's
do
still-
around here is a hot iron.
Okay.
And so we're roping the calves.
I'm not a rancher. So.
Yeah, we're roping the calves. The kids are wrestling them to the ground.
That sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, well, I mean it's work, but you got to remember now. There's horses. There's hot irons, and some few years back, ranchers started really pulling their horns back because there was lawsuit issues.
Oh, Jiminy.
Of course,
Freaking
then
attorneys.
there was then they came along and said, well, you got to have workers' comp. If you're going to pay them, you got to have workers' comp. And so a lot of ranchers pulled their horns back again and didn't want to be involved, because now we got to pay workers' comp. It became a pain in the ass for the rancher. That never should have happened, because this is more of a cultural thing as well. So when it comes to
When you say a cultural thing, you're saying the people helping out at branding time is a cultural thing.
the cowboy, it's the way this group of people have done and traded help for years, and it's a great thing, because these ranches come together. Sometimes that's the only time they see each other for the year, much, You know, I mean, there's usually a big dinner at the end of the day. I mean, this is a great community tool to get work done. Okay, so and the reason I bring it up is because the trust issue, just like you say. So we say we're going to come out and do some fencing, and these ranchers will look at us like, does anybody know what a fence stretcher is? Does anybody know? Do you know how to make a fence? Because and then comes, what if somebody gets hurt? Am I liable? You know, do I have to have workers' comp on you guys? And so there's a huge trust barrier to overcome. A lot of times we see the rancher will want to work with us and give us direction. And now, as we're getting into it, and a lot of these guys are hearing about us and what we do, they're much more relaxed. I mean, the guy this year, one of the projects I did was build a windbreak, and he was like, hey, it became we were involved in the decision making. How do you think we should make this level? And what do you think about if I do this and if I do this right? And he said, yep, I really like that. And so we're starting to overcome that.
What helps us a lot in that department is that our volunteers are pretty knowledgeable.
Yeah, a lot of them. And we always try to pick a crew leader or a group leader that can, keep people safe. This is how we do this. This is how it's done. Of course, always, how does the rancher want it done? Not necessarily maybe the way you want it done, but the way he wants it done. I'm not much of a fencer. We just did a fence project. The guy came out just last night. I finished it up. Thanked us. He says, it looks great. You guys did a great job. He has MS and he's not able to do much help. His wife was laid up. They were really worried about how they were going to get. We had a bad windstorm came through. Some hay bales got rolled through their fence. Blah, 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 blah. We went and helped him out.
A windstorm blew round
Oh,
bells?
yeah. We had 70, 80 mile an hour winds.
Yeah,
It was horrible.
We had a doozy.
But that'll blow a round bell?
Oh, yeah. Roll them like a Super Bowl. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Really? I never would have guessed that. Sorry.
So, no, it was
something. It was really something.
Yeah.
But so yeah, there's a huge trust issue, and we're really starting to overcome that because you had a gentleman ask about cleaning up a tree.
Yep.
And I had spoke to him earlier this year about it, and he was a little bit, I don't know, and now, like he said to you, it's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, he said it'd be huge if we get that done.
So
what do you have? A tree fall down?
A cottonwood tree along one of his hay meadows, got old windstorm, wintertime, blew over, laying out in the hay field. He's a gentleman that doesn't have a lot of hired help, and he's on a ranch, and so we'll go down and clean it up. It's a simple deal. I know the man well. He'll come and help us. There'll be more conversation than there'll probably be work, but that's part of building the trust. Yeah. So I'm glad you said that, because trust is a huge issue with these ranchers, because they've been so used to doing it themselves for so long. And then all of a sudden, when these issues came up about liabilities, they became very distrusting of people, or maybe not distrusting, but very worried as to what would happen if somebody got hurt on our place. So yeah, it's very important to exercise safety always.
I hope they don't start to trust us anymore, because we can't do much more than 8 work projects.
Well, we've got to come up. We've got to come up with a way to get. We've got to come up with a way to get more workers, more people involved.
Yeah.
Like I say,
let's pivot to that momentarily.
Yeah,
that's a struggle. Is for us has been with volunteers. It worked out this year. We had one rancher cancel on us last minute, so that freed up some people, and
plenty of
for other projects. So we got our bases covered. Every ranch we went to had about as many people as they requested, but we were kind of lucky in some respects.
we got really lucky.
Yeah, we have people that. So we identify a team leader for every project, and they're in charge of calling people on the volunteer list and getting them to agree to show up, and then keep keeping in contact with the producer, the ag producer that they're going to do the work project for, and letting them decide the time and getting the directions, getting it all lined up, making sure everybody has the right tools. We had people like backing out the night before.
Oh yeah.
Or the morning of.
Or the morning of. Yeah.
That's a normal generational thing.
Yeah. It's so much worse than never having said yes in the first place, you know?
Yeah.
To at crunch time be like, on second thought, not gonna make her. So we have some things we gotta work on with that. Like, I mean, the simple thing is just iterating that to them on the phone. Like, if you're going to volunteer. But to say you're going to be there and not be there is really problematic. We've also been kicking around the idea of a change in our model a little bit in a way that would allow us to do potentially a lot more. So with the type 1 sign-ins, that you do with the bot, where you send the box.
Yeah, you might explain that to the world because.
I thought you kind of did.
Maybe I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
So there's a box out on the edge of the property somewhere, and you go fill out a slip and you go hunting. And that's a type 1. And type 2 is like Jeff was saying, you got to get the slip from the block management participant or from the block management office. I guess. In either case, what we'd like to do is make hunters have a little business card or something when they sign up. However they sign up, they get like our business card and an invitation to go to our website and then sign up for our volunteer list.
Or come to our pint night.
Or yeah, but
Get the
the
word out
idea
more.
is we live in like there's just a huge area,
Yeah.
you know. So we're doing all of our projects within
Region
100
7.
miles of Miles City, Montana, and the furthest expanse of Region 7 is probably 250 miles. Like, I don't know, maybe that's a little bit, but we don't.
What is it up the other side of Sydney? You know, we're talking 100 miles there or better, a little bit better. You get to Billings, over by Billings, 100 miles.
North of Jordan. I mean, so anyway, it's just an expansive
huge.
area where we don't have any representation.
Big state.
So, what's that?
Big state.
Big state, yeah. So if we could, through like getting people to volunteer, like in a small town, get on our volunteer roster and say Jordan, you know, then we could have them, that little crew, interact with ranchers around Jordan and get things set up and try to distribute this out more. We might be able to do more stuff with less stress. So we're kicking around ideas on how to grow this thing, you know.
So
every state's different. So.
I got a couple of questions. Like how many volunteers do you guys have, and then how do you pick the projects?
We did every project okay, so we went to the Block Management Appreciation Dinners and went around table to table and had.
You went, and like all of them?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
We did two. There's 2 in Region 7 we went to, and then
I went to the one in Region
4.
4.
I think it's
I don't
4.
know your regions. Like, I'm sorry.
There's
Maybe I'm
7.
asking.
The state is chunked up into 7 regions.
Okay, but where are we at right now?
7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm asking dumb questions.
No,
Well,
not at all.
I mean,
Not at
you're
all.
confused. You can imagine how anybody listening to this. is
Okay.
gonna be. So, yeah, and so we got all of our signups by going to those dinners and saying, "Hey, might you need a day of help around the place?" But and then, is that where you're at? Oh, what was the question again?
Like how many volunteers approximately do you have, and how are you picking which project?
Okay, we didn't pick because we did every project that they wanted done.
Okay.
And we had about 25 volunteers.
25 volunteers. But that's what we stay at, about 25 people. And we get our volunteers, by and large, from the pint night.
Okay.
So there's a sign-up sheet there, and then some that didn't come this year. We had the sheet from the year before, and we contacted them, and then of course,
And we get people to show up from the volunteer, like they sign up on the website too.
yep.
Well, I hope our so this is gonna sound kind of strange, but like we have like 40 people signed up to volunteer, but we have no idea what to do with them.
Oh, send them out to Montana.
Right. We got a great barbecue. We do a great barbecue either up at my place or at Matt's here.
That's sad, man. That's sad.
We just don't know what to do with them because
Yeah.
we're not doing work days right now.
Yeah.
But that'll come because I think as you
know.
build that trust
Yeah.
and these ranchers, these landowners, honestly, I think as landowners see this, they see the respect that we want to give to them. They see that they can get some help with some of these projects. The smallest project can be the hugest help to a farmer or a rancher because it's something that has to get done, but they just don't have the time to do it. Simple, it can be as simple as mowing around buildings like we did for fire mitigation. It can be something as simple as that, but they just don't have time to do it. So
Yeah, but okay, so
Don't-
what you found through your survey was
they just don't trust you to do anything.
it's,
yet.
that's right.
that's
It's-
right.
It's not that they don't have work; it's that they just are worried about
I
something.
mean, I shouldn't say like we didn't get anybody that said they didn't need something. I mean, there's a few of them.
Yeah, but that'll come. That'll start to come.
Yeah.
I really think it will because another thing is sometimes they've never been offered or asked.
Right.
And they really don't know what to say. And then, so I have had people come to me and say, well, God, you guys mentioned that a year or two ago at a meeting. We didn't really know what to say, but now we thought about it and found out you're doing stuff. And, well, we need this done. Can you do that?
Yeah.
It's like, well, absolutely.
I think one thing too is like the characteristic of our program is different than the Montana. I think Wes maybe covered this a little bit when you podcasted with him because we have twice as many enrollees, but we only have 1 million acres.
Right.
So a lot smaller farms, ranches,
a lot less work needing to be
when
done.
when I look at when I come here and I look at a block management map and I look at one of the block management pieces I want to hunt and I'm like, wow, 15,000 acres.
Yeah.
Like you don't see that in Kansas.
Right.
You see 80 acres.
So it was really interesting.
Yeah.
We did a podcast with some guys from Wisconsin, and we were talking about contacting the landowner and just giving thanks or maybe offering to help. And they were like, one of their programs was not, they didn't even want you talking to the landowner. Remember that? It was like, no, we don't expect, we really don't encourage you to go, just go hunt, but don't bother them. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like what they got going in Kansas.
Exactly. Like some of them will actually tell you like the reason they enrolled in WeHaws because they don't want to be bothered.
Oh.
They don't want people knocking on their door.
So how does enroll? Oh, because it's posted and it's posted that it's in WeHaw, so there's no reason.
Yeah, they could drive by, they see a sign, they can go walk, they go hunt. Yeah.
So, but that wouldn't still. So to me, it would be like get the address and send them a thank you card.
Yeah.
And by the way, here's my phone number. If you need something done at the ranch, you need a small project, building painted, gate fixed, rocks picked out of your field, give me a call.
Yeah. There's just so many reasons why people enroll. Some of them enroll because they want the income. Some of them enroll because they don't want to be bothered.
Right.
Oh.
It's like to try to build a model that fits every circumstance is very difficult to do.
We have people here that will say to us, we are enrolled because we like to see people hunt.
Yes.
We get that.
Yep.
We absolutely get that.
So I was once told by an outfitter, it's all about the money. It's all about the money. These ranchers, it's all about the money. And he was quite confident that, outfitting was just going to be the way. And I find more and more that it's not about the money. A lot of these block management people are about sharing what they have. And they like to see the people come. And they like to have the contact. And so it's not always just about the money. And you're right, there's many reasons why some people, they just don't want to be contacted or bothered by it, but go ahead and hunt. Whatever the reason may be, I still feel like it's great that cards get sent. there's some form of appreciation and respect to landowners.
Today I was hunting, and there was a guy running a combine, and I don't even know really. Honestly, I don't know what he was doing. I mean, I know enough about farming to know that what he was combining was nothing. I don't know what he was doing. Maybe you guys know, but it was like wheat stubble. But he was using the combine to build windrows of stubble, which I don't know why you wouldn't do that when you just cut the wheat.
Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't matter. But he was 200 yards from me where I was hunting, and I just so bad wanted to go over and talk to that guy just to talk to the guy. No other reason. He got out once because the machine plugged up, and I went over there, I was pretty close, and I wanted to go over there, and I'm like, nah, not going to bother that guy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you just never know. Like, do those guys want to be bothered? Like, if I went over and talked to him, would he be appreciative of that, or would he be like, "What the hell am I doing? What are you doing? I'm trying to get work done," you know?
Generally, in my experience, yes. Generally, they love to chit chat.
Generally speaking, yeah,
I left him alone.
Yeah. Generally speaking, they're quite receptive to, you know.
Yeah. He was combining property that was not in the program, and I was on state land where I was hunting.
Okay, well, I get that.
So,
yeah.
You know, you never know.
No, you don't.
I took the high road.
Is that it? Have we covered it all? So if so,
well, I want to talk a couple of things in Kansas. Yeah,
absolutely.
Please.
Okay, so first of all, I want to give credit to our board. So we have Wes Sowards on our board who runs the program for Kansas, and then Lauren Sill. Lauren is probably the most passionate person about hunting and access and everything wildlife that I know. I don't know if you've talked to Lauren.
I have.
You have? Okay. She is just, her dad worked for the department for years. He was a biologist. He was a deer biologist. She just has a special connection. She was on our wildlife commission for a while. So she just has a special connection to like what we have going on in Kansas. And I mean, I've never seen somebody that has quite the level of passion that she has towards making sure people have a place to go hunting. So I want to shout out to her. And then Josh Nicolay, who's our treasurer, or I'm sorry, not our treasurer, but he basically does everything like legal for us. He's an attorney. So he helped us form our group and got our not-for-profit status. And Josh is like intimately involved in everything we do. And so just a shout out to those folks. But I did mention our volunteers, and we've got 40 of them that have signed up through Atlas's little sign-up thing, basically.
On our website.
Yeah, on the website. And if you haven't gone to the website, like go to there, sign up. We'll figure out something.
HuntersForAccess.org,
yeah.
folks.
One of the volunteers, I want to tell a little story. One of the volunteers that signed up, we had him come to the last appreciation supper that we had in Hutchinson. He is a military veteran. He's from, I want to say North Carolina originally is where he grew up. No, I take that back, Ohio. And he ended up in Kansas because of the military and wife and everything else. And that guy came and told such a cool story about, like, I had no place to go hunting. Because of this walk-in program, I had a place to go hunting. I'm a resident now. I shot a deer last year, on walk-in hunting.
So he got up in front of the group and told his story?
He got up in front of the group, and he not only just talked, he didn't talk about just killing a deer. He got up and told a story about how he used to go deer hunting with his dad, and his dad can't deer hunt anymore, and it was reminiscent of spending time with his dad. I mean, it was a really, good story that connected the Weehaw cooperators with the hunters.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it was really good. And he's a volunteer signed up. And so, I mean, just having that kind of help is...
He's your in-house motivational speaker.
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
That's cool.
But it speaks volumes
Yeah.
to hunting isn't just about killing. It's about being involved.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah,
you had multiple speakers at these...
We do. We have, multiple speakers. The biologists come So, in our state... We're broken up into areas, and there's biologists that are assigned to certain areas. And then those are the people that are responsible for going out and signing up the enrollees. And so they know the property owners, they meet with them, they get them signed up and those types of things. So we try to have the biologists for that area come to the supper. And some of these people have never met the biologists, and so they're just like appreciative to meet them.
Okay,
sure.
Because a lot of it's done over the phone or email or whatever.
Yep.
And so they're just appreciative to meet them. And then we also bring in the habitat specialists to talk about programs through USDA or whatever that can improve their property in terms of habitat, and probably also be good for their farming or ranching operation.
Man.
We kind of had that in Region 4 last year. There was a gentleman there. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Something like we hit them with information, and then they walk out and they're ecstatic that they came. We give them a great supper.
Oh.
Yeah. And so our plan in Kansas is to just keep doing these things for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, why don't fix what's not broken?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you decide to expand it and go into some other direction or an additional direction, it'll become obvious at some point that you need to do that, or just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, my hopes when Matt and I baked this deal up, and we went to the first block management before COVID,
Right.
was that it would go to many more states. I'm so happy that we've got 2 other states involved. I would like to see more. I want to see involvement in our other regions in this state. You know, if we can get the public educated about what we're doing, the landowners educated about the respect and the appreciation, more people on board, we can restore public hunting. That's a non-pay motto. We can restore that, but we gotta have the help from people. You gotta reach out to these landowners. What you guys are doing in Kansas, man, that's phenomenal.
I know. It almost makes me wish.
I feel like trash now.
It almost makes me wish that FWP didn't have the appreciation.
Yeah, like we were doing that, right? I mean, no, seriously. I mean, that is like great. If we could get the Western United States involved with that and get it on board, and you have more and more people involved, the next thing you know, legislatively, things are getting changed. It's more friendly towards public access.
Man,
Well,
we'd put real tree, mossy oak, and whitetail properties out of business.
Right? Yeah, and I feel like a second-class citizen now of what you guys got going on in Kansas. I mean,
But I can tell you guys, like, it started with you guys, and so we wouldn't be doing what we're doing if you guys wouldn't have came up with the idea. So I wish I would have thought of it.
It's John Kuntz, the dog.
Freaking brilliant. I mean,
you know,
sorry, go ahead.
I just got to tell you, it started with my dad. We were not allowed to hunt if we didn't respect the landowners and go ask them. And I remembered that. He's gone now, but hey, that's what I want to see happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell the folks that are involved with us, this is going to sound super silly, but it's delivering peaches. I grew up without a WEHA program for the most part. We didn't have a WEHA program until the mid-90s. I think it was 94 or something when we had it. But my grandpa, I didn't learn to hunt from my dad. I learned to hunt from my grandpa.
Right.
And my grandpa would I talked about growing up on a peach farm. We'd pile up bushel baskets of peaches in the back of a pickup and drive around and deliver peaches to farmers and ranchers that we hunted on. And this program to me is like, our program in Kansas is reminiscent of that.
Right.
And what we're doing through Kansas Hunters for Access is reminiscent of that. We're giving back to the landowner. They're already getting paid, but this is like, icing on the cake.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and why not give them icing?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. You gotta excuse me. I got a little choked up there about it, but my dad was a person that before hunting season started, you went and asked for permission on the places you would go hunting, and because in Minnesota you had to show a slip that showed, that you had. If a warden asked you, you had to produce in writing that you had permission to be on this piece of property. So I would print off some slips My dad would copy them for me, and I would take them to the landowners, and the landowner would sign them, and you carried them with you. And I can remember one time I was walking down an old railroad grade, and some of these papers had fallen out of my hunting jacket. I reached for some shotgun shells or something, apparently. Anyway, a couple of these permission slips ended up on this railroad grade, and one of the landowners would walk every day. He found one of these permission slips, and of course he knew immediately, and he called me up and brought it back to me. But it was like, he was quite taken. He didn't realize I was doing that. And he said, I've got a lot of people come and ask to hunt, but nobody ever actually wrote it down and had the slip. But that, my like I say, my dad was very adamant that you asked permission, and that during the summer months, if they needed hay bales picked up or whatever it was, we went and did it. Well, you were expected to do that. And some time ago when Matt and I first met at a pint night that he held for another fundraiser, it came to me that the only way we're going to save hunting in the United States as a non-pay walk-in is to start showing appreciation to landowners again and doing what's right. And I don't understand how possibly nobody can understand. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. Some people don't understand. You just have to do what's right. And,
Yeah.
you know, so that's you guys in Kansas. That's wonderful. And like I say, I don't feel like I've done my job now.
Yeah, it's like we're simulating the old way.
Yeah, I mean that's
Like, we're just providing a mechanism for people that don't live in a farming and ranching community to show appreciation to people, allow them to hunt. Matter of fact, that's what I'm going to call this episode: simulating the old way.
yeah. I mean, I could remember back in the day going squirrel hunting with my dad, and even though we had permission to be in a given woods, we always stopped and asked if we could go again. And I hear from landowners from time to time, look, just because I gave somebody permission once doesn't mean they have it next week, and it doesn't mean they get to bring 9 of their buddies with them. It's like, there's some etiquette that goes with this. It's like, hey, I'm asking for permission, and by the way, can I bring 2 of my friends? That doesn't mean, can I have permission to show up with a truckload of people? So, and I think it's important for people that are using block management to understand that the landowner is still in charge of what happens on his property. So you don't get to show up there and tell him where you're going to hunt. And the reason I bring that up is we had a block management contributor just 2 years ago. We actually did a work project for him. One of the first ones we did. Actually, it was a BHA program we did for him.
We were doing it through BHA.
Through a BHA.
We did the project and then he unenrolled.
Are you serious?
No. But what happened to him? What happened to him was he had some people show up at his place, and he was a sign-in at the house. 4 or 5 guys signing up. He came into the yard. He introduced himself. Hunters introduced themselves. He said, "Hey, look, we're moving cattle down at this end of the ranch. I would appreciate it if you would hunt on the other end of the ranch until maybe later this afternoon or tomorrow." And these hunters informed him that no, in fact, he didn't get to make that rule. He was enrolled in block management. It was their right to go where the hell ever they wanted to go. And no, they were just going to go. He took their permission slips back, was adamant that they leave his property immediately, and the next year he unenrolled. It was over. Yeah. And so, folks, we got to remember, block management, the Kansas program, Minnesota programs, these people still own the land. They're making the rules. Don't screw it up for everybody else. Show respect.
All right, anything else? All right, thanks, fellas.